The invitation arrived like a gut punch. Crisp cream paper slicing through the mail slot of Jonathan's cramped Brooklyn walk-up. "You're not welcome," it read in his sister's elegant script. No frills. No regrets, just the cold finality of family exile. He crumpled it in his fist, the words blurring through hot tears, and hurled it across the room where it skidded under the couch like a discarded confession. Jonathan Hayes had always known this day might come, but feeling it land like a freight train still knocked the wind out of him. At 28, he'd built a life in the shadow of his conservative upstate roots, bartending at a queer-friendly dive in Williamsburg, sketching portraits of strangers in coffee shops, chasing the elusive American dream of being seen, truly seen. But blood was thicker than ink, or so his mother used to say before the prayers turned to pleas for normalcy. His sister Emily's wedding to her high school sweetheart was the pinnacle, the event that would cement the Hayes legacy in their sleepy Rochester suburb. And Jonathan? He was the glitch, the gay son who dared to love out loud. He slumped against the wall, phone buzzing in his pocket like an accusation. It was Hunter God. Hunter, texting a simple "you okay?" with a thumbs-up emoji that felt like a lifeline in the storm. Jonathan's thumb hovered, then typed, "Family just disinvited me." For real this time. He hit send before regret could claw it back, heart hammering as the three dots danced like Morse code for hope. Hunter Kane had crashed into Jonathan's world 2 summers ago at a rooftop barbecue in Bushwick, all broad shoulders and easy Midwestern charm that masked a quiet fire. A 30-year-old architect from Chicago, transplanted to New York for a firm gig designing eco-friendly lofts. Hunter was the kind of guy who quoted Whitman over whiskey and sketched blueprints on napkins. They'd locked eyes across a sea of craft IPAs and fairy lights, Jonathan nursing a beer and a grudge against his latest failed grinder date. Hunter fresh off a brutal breakup with a guy who'd called him too vanilla. One conversation turned into a night of wandering the East River Promenade, trading stories under the Manhattan Bridge, Jonathan's tales of small-town suffocation, Hunter's confessions of a childhood spent hiding his sketches of boys from his football coach dad. By dawn, they'd kissed against a chain-link fence, the city waking around them like it approved. It wasn't fireworks. It was foundations, the slow burn of 2 souls recognizing home in each other. But secrets have a way of eroding even the sturdiest builds. Jonathan's family knew about his lifestyle, as his father called it, in the way you know about a storm on the horizon, distant thunder, ignored warnings. Emily had begged him to come, to just tone it down, promising her fiancé wouldn't mind. And Hunter, he was the wild card, the straight-laced best man slotted in because he'd grown up next door to Emily in Rochester, their families intertwined like ivy on a picket fence. No one knew Hunter was the reason Jonathan's sketches now overflowed with tender lines, the reason his laugh came easier these days. The phone rang, shattering the silence. Hunter's voice flooded through, warm and urgent. "John, talk to me." "What the hell happened?" Jonathan swallowed the lump in his throat, voice cracking like thin ice. "Em's wedding. They said I can't come. Dad found out about us, about you showing up at that family dinner last month. The way we looked at each other. Called it a disgrace." Mom just echoed him, like always, a beat of stunned silence. Then Hunter's exhale, ragged and real. "Jesus. That's bullshit. You're her brother, John. Blood. And me, I'll fix this. Wedding's in 3 days. I'll talk to them." "Don't," Jonathan whispered, the plea tasting like ash. "You'll just make it worse. Hunter, you're the best man. You can't. I can, and I will." Hunter's tone brooked no argument, the architect in him already drafting plans. Pack a bag. I'm coming over. We're figuring this out together. Jonathan hung up, staring at the crumpled invite peeking from under the couch like a taunt. 3 days. 72 hours until vows and violins, until his sister walked down an aisle he wasn't allowed to witness. He thought of Emily at 16, braiding his hair after their parents' blowout fight over his coming out, whispering, "We'll always have each other." Lies, all of it. But Hunter's key turning in the lock 20 minutes later? That felt like truth. Hunter burst in with takeout tie and a duffel slung over his shoulder, his hazel eyes stormy under tousled brown hair. He dropped the bag, pulled Jonathan into a crush of arms and cedar cologne, murmuring nonsense against his temple. "It's gonna be okay. We'll crash it incognito, or hell, I'll officiate a fake one here first." Jonathan laughed despite himself, the sound muffled in Hunter's shirt, but it died quick when his phone lit up again. Emily's name, a voicemail waiting like a bomb. He played it on speaker, her voice trembling through the static. "Johnny, I'm so sorry. Dad's on a rampage. He says if you show, it'll ruin everything. Please understand. I love you, but this is my day." Click. The apartment went tomb quiet, the pad thai cooling untouched on the counter. Hunter's jaw clenched, fists balling at his sides. That's not love. That's cowardice. "Come on, John, fight this. With me." Jonathan met his gaze, the weight of 2 years' worth of stolen weekends and whispered futures pressing down. "What if fighting means losing you to their poison?" Hunter cupped his face, thumbs brushing away the damp tracks on his cheeks. "Then we lose together. But I don't plan on losing." That night, they lay tangled in sheets that smelled of sweat and safety, Hunter's fingers tracing the scars on Jonathan's back, metaphorical ones, etched from years of fix-it prayers and sidelong glares at Thanksgiving. "Remember that trip to the Finger Lakes?" Hunter murmured, lips ghosting his ear. "You sketched me by the dock. Called it Haven. That's us, John. We build our own." Jonathan nodded into the pillow, but sleep evaded him, chased by visions of white lace and wooden pews. By morning, resolve had hardened in his chest, not to crash the wedding, but to let go. "Go without me," he told Hunter over coffee, voice steady for the first time. "Be the best man they want. I'll watch the live stream like a ghost." Hunter's eyes flashed with that quiet fire. "Not a chance. I'm not standing up there without you in the room, even if it's just in my head." He kissed Jonathan fierce, then grabbed his keys. "Train to Rochester leaves at noon. You coming?" Jonathan hesitated, the crumpled invite a ghost in his periphery. Then, with a breath that tasted like freedom, he nodded. "Yeah. Let's burn it down." The Amtrak rattled north, upstate New York unfolding in a blur of autumn leaves and iron-gray skies. Jonathan stared out the window, sketching idly in his notebook, a rough outline of the old Hayes family chapel, steeple-piercing clouds like a judgment. Hunter's hand found his under the armrest, squeezing once, twice. "Whatever happens," he said softly, "we walk out holding hands. Deal? Deal." But as the conductor called their stop, Jonathan's phone buzzed, a text from his father. "Stay away, son. For her sake." The words stung like salt in old wounds, but Hunter's grip tightened, an anchor in the churn. Rochester greeted them with crisp November air and the faint scent of lake wind. The Hayes house loomed on Elmwood Avenue, a Victorian relic with gingerbread trim and ghosts in the attic. Emily flung open the door before they knocked, her veil askew, eyes red-rimmed. "Johnny," she breathed, pulling him into a hug that cracked something in his ribs. "I didn't mean." "I know," he murmured, holding her at arm's length. "But it's done." Hunter hung back, suit jacket slung over his shoulder, the picture of composed allyship. Emily's gaze flicked to him, wary. "You shouldn't have brought him here." "Dad's already." A bellow from the living room cut her off. "Kane, get in here." Richard Hayes, broad as a linebacker gone to seed, filled the doorway, face thunderous under salt and pepper hair. His wife, Margaret, hovered behind, clutching a rosary like a shield. Hunter stepped forward, voice even. "Mr. Hayes, we need to talk about Jonathan." Richard's laugh was bark without mirth. "Talk? Boy, you're the problem. Parading my son around like some trophy. This wedding's about family values, not whatever this is." Jonathan's blood boiled, but Hunter held up a hand, calm as a blueprint. "With respect, sir, Jonathan's your son. Banning him? That's not values, that's fear." Margaret gasped, crossing herself. "Hunter, honey, you've always been like a son to us. Don't throw that away on sin." The word landed like a slap, and Jonathan flinched. "Mom!" But Hunter was already firing back, eyes locked on Richard. "I've known your family since I was 10. Ate your meatloaf, mowed your lawn. And I love Jonathan, not as a phase, not as a scandal. As the man who makes sense of my world. If that's sin, then sign me up." Silence crashed down, thick as fog off Lake Ontario. Emily whimpered, Richard's face purpling. Then, with a roar that shook the chandelier, his father lunged, not at Hunter, but at Jonathan, grabbing his arm in a vice. "You did this. You poisoned him." Pain flared, but Jonathan wrenched free, chest heaving. "Let go. Dad. I'm not your shame to carry." Hunter inserted himself between them, shoulders squared. "Enough. We're leaving." But as they turned for the door, Emily's sobs stopped them cold. "Please. Don't make me choose." Jonathan's heart fractured anew, the hook of brotherhood snagging deep. He glanced at Hunter, saw the mirror of his own ache. "We're not," he said softly. "We're choosing us." They piled into Hunter's rental car, tires screeching on the wet pavement as Rochester blurred into dusk. The safe house was a kitschy motel off I-90, neon vacancy sign flickering like a heartbeat. Inside room 7, with its threadbare quilt and mini-fridge hum, they collapsed onto the bed, the day's venom seeping out in whispers and touches. "You were a badass back there," Jonathan murmured, tracing Hunter's jaw. Hunter chuckled, low and weary. "Had to be. Can't let them win." But his eyes darkened, confession spilling. "Truth? I'm terrified. Emily's like a sister to me. If I walk away from this wedding, you won't have to." Jonathan propped on an elbow, resolve flickering back. "Tomorrow's rehearsal. We show up as friends. No drama. Give them a chance to see we're not the monsters they think." Hunter searched his face, then nodded, pulling him close. "Okay. But if it goes south, we're out. My flight back to Chicago's booked for Monday. Come with me. Start fresh." The offer hung, sweet as forbidden fruit. Jonathan imagined it. Windy streets, Lake Michigan views, Hunter's loft with exposed brick and endless possibility. but roots ran deep, tangled in regret. Maybe, he hedged, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of what-ifs. Rehearsal dawned gray and reluctant, the chapel on Genesee Street a stone sentinel of stained glass and echoes. Jonathan arrived last, collar popped against the chill, Hunter at his side like a shield. The pews were half-full cousins in cardigans, aunts with judgmental whispers rippling like wind through wheat. Father Michaels, the old priest with a voice like gravel, intoned the lineup, bridesmaids fluffing imaginary trains, groomsmen shuffling like guilty schoolboys. Emily stood at the altar in a simple sheath, radiant and ruined, her eyes pleading with Jonathan across the aisle. Hunter took his place as best man, clapping the groom, timid Tom Riley, on the back with forced joviality. Looking sharp, man. Ready for the plunge. Tom grinned, oblivious. Hell yeah. M's the one. The practice march began, violinists scraping Mendelssohn to life. Jonathan watched from the back row, a spectator in his own tragedy, until Richard's voice sliced through, Hayes! Now, heads turned, murmurs swelling. Jonathan rose, chin high, but Hunter broke formation, striding down the aisle with purpose. Mr. Hayes, this ends today. Jonathan's staying. Richard swelled, veins bulging. You work for me. Kane, remember that internship I pulled strings for? One call, and your career's toast. The threat landed like a bomb, sucking air from the room. Jonathan's stomach dropped. He'd known Hunter's firm had Rochester ties, but this, betrayal's shadow loomed, family leverage twisting like a knife. Hunter didn't flinch. Then make the call. But know this, I'd burn it all for him. Gasps echoed, Emily's hand flying to her mouth. For a heartbeat, the chapel held its breath, and then the dam broke. Chaos erupted like a summer squall, pews scraping as relatives surged to their feet. A cacophony of Richie. Stop! And this is a house of God. Father Michaels banged his prayer book like a gavel. But it was Emily's wail that cut deepest, raw and unraveling. Daddy, please, it's my wedding. Jonathan stood frozen, the weight of eyes pinning him like specimens under glass. Hunter's declaration hung in the air, a gauntlet thrown in holy ground, and for the first time, he saw the fracture lines in his lover's facade, the tremor in his hands, the flicker of doubt behind the blaze. Richard advanced, finger jabbing like a bayonet. You think you're some hero, Kane? Dragging my boy into perversion? I've known you since you were in diapers, trusted you with my daughter's big day. And this is how you repay me? Hunter's laugh was bitter, edged with years of swallowed truths. Trusted me? You mean used me? The firm favors, the connections, every favor came with strings. Didn't it? Be the straight son we never had. Well, newsflash. I'm gay, Mr. Hayes. Have been since I kissed your son under that bridge and realized what home feels like. The confession detonated, shockwaves rippling through the congregation. Aunt Lydia clutched her pearls. Uncle Frank muttered about the end times. But it was Margaret's crumple, collapsing into a pew, rosary beads scattering like fallen stars, that shattered Jonathan. She looked up at Hunter, voice a whisper of wind. My boy, how could you hide this from us? Hunter's shoulders sagged, the architect's poise cracking. Because I saw what you did to John. The prayers, the therapy pamphlets slipped under his door. I wasn't gonna let that touch me too. Emily stumbled forward, veil trailing like surrender. Hunt. You and John? All this time, her eyes darted to Jonathan, a mosaic of hurt and dawning light. Why didn't you tell me? Jonathan's throat closed, words barricaded behind regret. Because I didn't want to lose you. Not to Dad's hate. Not to this. Tom hovered awkwardly at the altar, groomsmen shifting like extras in a bad indie flick. Folks, maybe we take 5. But Richard was a force of nature, grabbing Hunter's lapel. Out. Both of you. Or I swear. Or what? Jonathan surged forward, shoving between them, adrenaline tasting like copper. You'll disown me twice? Newsflash. Dad, you already did. With that invite. With every Bible verse you weaponized. Hunter's the only family I've got left. The chapel fell into a stunned hush, the violinist lowering her bow mid-note. Richard released Hunter with a shove, face ashen, eyes glassy with something perilously close to tears. You were my pride, Johnny. Straight-A student, artist with promise. Now, you're broken. The word eviscerated, flaying old wounds wide. Jonathan staggered back, Hunter catching him, arm like iron around his waist. Broken, Jonathan echoed, voice rising to a roar that echoed off vaulted ceilings. That's your legacy, Dad, pushing away anyone who doesn't fit your mold. Emily's marrying Tom because he's safe, predictable. But me, I love a man who sees me, all of me. And if that's broken, then fix yourself. He stormed out, Hunter on his heels, the door banging shut like a period on a sentence too long in coming. Outside, November rain lashed the parking lot, turning gravel to mud. They ducked under the chapel's meager overhang, breaths mingling in white plumes. You okay? Hunter asked, voice rough, thumb brushing Jonathan's rain-slick cheek. Jonathan barked a laugh, hysterical and hollow. Am I? I just nuked my sister's rehearsal. Dad might stroke out. And you, God, Hunt, that job threat. You could have played it safe. Hunter pulled him close, rain dripping from his hair. Safe's overrated. Besides, screw the firm. I've got feelers in Chicago, real ones, not nepotism strings. We do this, John. Us against the world. But as they piled into the car, engine coughing to life against the downpour, Jonathan's phone exploded. Texts from Emily. Come back. Please. A call from Margaret. Unanswered. And one from Tom. Of all people, dude, your dad's on a warpath. Get clear. They holed up in the motel again, rain drumming the roof like impatient fingers. Hunter ordered pizza, extra cheese, Jonathan's weakness, and they ate cross-legged on the bed, trading bites and bad jokes to stitch the day's tears. Remember our first fight? Hunter said, sauce smudged on his lip. Over that god-awful abstract sculpture in Chelsea. You called it pretentious vomit. I defended it like my thesis. Jonathan grinned, the memory a bomb. You won by dragging me to the Met after kissing me in the Egyptian wing till I forgot my name. Heat kindled in Hunter's eyes, pizza forgotten as he leaned in, lips claiming with the slow surety of homecomings. They tumbled together, hands mapping familiar territories, Hunter's callous palms from drafting tables, Jonathan's ink-stained fingers from endless sketches. It was worship, this loving. Hunter murmuring praises against collarbones, Jonathan arching like a bowstring drawn taut. No rush, just the sacred unraveling, body speaking what words couldn't. I choose you, always. After, sated and spent, they lay staring at water-stained ceiling tiles, Hunter's head on Jonathan's chest. What if she calls off the wedding? He whispered. Then she does, Jonathan replied, fingers carting through Hunter's damp curls. But I won't let them break us. Dawn brought a fragile truce, an email from Emily. Rehearsal 2.0 at noon. Dad's processing. Come. Both of you. Attached was a photo of her and Tom. Goofy grins in raincoats. Captioned, Team Weirdos Unite. Hope flickered, tentative as the sun-piercing clouds. They arrived at the chapel early, the lot empty save for Father Michael's polishing candlesticks. He nodded them in, eyes twinkling. Boys, life's too short for pew-polishing grudges. Mend what you can. Inside, the space felt smaller, echoes softer. Emily waited at the altar, alone, her sheath swapped for jeans and a hoodie. She rushed them, hugging Jonathan fierce, then Hunter, lingering. I should have seen it. You two, it's obvious now, the way you light up around each other. Jonathan exhaled, relief flooding. I never wanted to. Shoo, she pulled back, eyes fierce. You're my brother. Hunt's family. Dad's wrong, stubborn as hell, but wrong. Tom's talking to him now, as if summoned. The door creaked open. Tom entered, Richard trailing like a storm cloud with a reluctant leash. Margaret followed, rosary pocketed, face a mask of quiet war. The air thickened, everyone holding breath like fragile glass. Richard cleared his throat, voice gruff. Kane. Hayes. Sit. They did, pew creaking under tension. He paced, hands clasped behind like a general at briefing. Last night, I prayed. A lot. And I remembered you, Johnny, 5 years old, drawing angels on the fridge with crayons. Pure. That's what I wanted to protect. Jonathan's throat tightened. Dad, I'm still me. Richard stopped, eyes meeting his son's, raw, unguarded. I know. And Kane. You lied. But maybe I pushed you to. This thing between you. He gestured vaguely, the word gay unspoken but heavy. It's not my world. But it's yours. If Emily wants you there. She nodded, vehement. I do. A beat. Then Richard extended a hand to Hunter. Stand with Tom. But no. Displays. Hunter clasped it. Firm. Deal. But Jonathan walks you down the aisle. That's non-negotiable. Margaret gasped softly. But Emily beamed, tears spilling. Yes. God. Yes. The rehearsal resumed in fits and starts. Giggles masking nerves. Father Michael's ad-libbing vows with wry asides about love's crooked path. Jonathan practiced his arm link with Emily, her weight light as forgiveness. Hunter caught his eye from the groom's side, mouthing told you, that grin pure sunlight. But undercurrents swirled. At the reception dry run in the church hall, folding tables groaning under punch bowls and deviled eggs, Cousin Becca sidled up, wine glass in hand, voice syrupy sharp. So, John, spilling tea Hunter? Really? Dad's fuming under the surface. Watch your back. Jonathan stiffened, glancing at Hunter charming aunts across the room. What's that supposed to mean? She shrugged, eyes gleaming. Just saying. Blood's thicker. And grudges? They fester. Dismissed with a flick of her wrist. Jonathan nursed a soda, unease coiling like smoke. Hunter found him by the dessert table, pecan pie crumbling under his fork. You good? Look like you saw a ghost. Becca, Jonathan muttered. Hinting at payback. Hunter's jaw ticked. Ignore her. She's all bark. No blueprint. But as night fell, driving back to the motel with stars pricking the sky, Jonathan's phone lit up. An anonymous text. Tell Hunter to check his email. Firm's done. Attached. A screenshot of Richard's signature on a termination letter. Dated yesterday. Betrayal bloomed. Cold and certain. Hunt, Jonathan said, voice hollow, passing the phone. Your job. Hunter pulled over sharp, scanning the glow. His face drained, then hardened to stone. Son of a, he did it. After everything, rain started again, pattering the windshield like accusations. Jonathan reached for him, but Hunter jerked away, fists white on the wheel. I stood up for us. For you. And this is not just a job. It's years of climbing, proving I'm more than the coach's kid. I'm sorry, Jonathan whispered, guilt gnawing. This is my fault. If I hadn't. No, Hunter cut him off, eyes fierce in the dash light. It's his. And maybe I need space to figure out how bad. The words landed like fractures in glass. Space. After 2 years of us? Jonathan nodded numbly, watching Hunter drop him at the motel with a curt, we'll talk tomorrow. The door clicked shut, leaving him in the humming void. Rain a relentless dirge. He paced the room, calling Emily, no answer. Texts to Hunter, unread. By midnight, exhaustion won. Dreams a tangle of alters and axed contracts. Hunter's face morphing from lover to casualty. Morning broke brittle, wedding eve sun mocking through curtains. A knock jolted him awake. Margaret, unannounced, bearing Tupperware of lasagna and a tentative smile. Brought food. And words. They sat at the rickety table, steam rising like peace offerings. Your father's a hard man, she started, folding napkin hands. Built walls after his own dad left. Thinks love's a fortress, not a bridge. Jonathan poked at the pasta. Appetite fled. And you, Mom, you agree with the ban? Her eyes welled. No, baby. I was scared for you, for us. But seeing you with Hunter, it's real. Tender. Like your father and I were once. The vulnerability cracked him open. He fired Hunter. Last night. Margaret blanched. Oh, Lord. I'll talk to him. But as she left, promising intervention, Jonathan's phone buzzed. Hunter. Meet at the lake. Need air. The Finger Lakes drive wound through russet hills. Memories flooding. That first trip. Hunter's laughter echoing off water. Sketches born under lazy sun. He found him at their dock. Skipping stones. Suit pants rolled to knees. Hey, Jonathan ventured. Gravel crunching. Hunter turned. Eyes shadowed. Hey. Got a call from Chicago, old contact. Owes me. Interview Monday. Something. Relief ward with ache. That's good. Hunt. About last night. I lashed out. Sorry. Hunter sighed. Stone plunking ripples. This week's unearthed crap I buried deep. Dad stuff. Expectations. But you're not the problem. You're the fix. Jonathan stepped close, hands finding waist. Then don't push me away. We face the altar together, literally. Hunter's smile ghosted, lips brushing forehead. Deal. But if Dad pulls more shit, we bolt. To Chicago. To anywhere. They kissed slow. Lake breeze carrying promise. Back in Rochester, the eve buzzed, rehearsal dinner at the country club, fairy lights strung like hopeful stars. Jonathan dressed in slacks and button-down, Hunter in crisp navy, looking every inch the best man reborn. The hall glowed, centerpieces of white roses nodding approval. Toasts flowed, Tom's dad on building legacies, aunts on blessings in disguise. When Emily rose, glass raised, eyes locked on Jonathan. To family, the ones we're born with, and the ones we choose. Johnny, Hunt, you're my heart. Cheers swelled, but Richard's toast followed. Voice gravel over glass. To tradition. And bending, when love demands. It wasn't absolution, but it was bend a crack in the wall. Later, by the dessert cart, Becca cornered Jonathan again. Smirk sly. Heard about the firing. Daddy's handiwork. Jonathan stiffened. Stay out of it, she laughed. Lo. Just warning you, wedding day's tomorrow. Secrets don't stay buried. Dismissed. He found Hunter charming Tom over cigars, but pulled him aside, whispering the encounter. Hunter's eyes narrowed. She's stirring. Ignore. But unease lingered, a shadow at the feast. As they drove to separate crash pads, Jonathan at the house, Hunter at a cousin's, the text came. Anonymous again. Photo of Hunter's termination email forwarded to the Chicago firm, with Richard's note, unreliable. Avoid. Rage ignited. Jonathan forwarded it to Emily, then stormed the study where Richard nursed scotch. You leaked it. To sabotage him. Richard didn't deny. Eyes weary. Had to protect the firm. Our name. Your name, Jonathan spat. Not his life. Undo it. Can't. Son. Damage done. The door slammed on that finality. Jonathan fleeing to his old room. Posters faded ghosts. Sleep evaded. Betrayal a bitter lullaby. Wedding day dawned with a deceptive clarity. Sun gilding the haze backyard where tents billowed like sails on calm seas. Jonathan woke to birdsong and the clatter of prep. Caterers hauling chafing dishes. Florists weaving hydrangeas into arches. His room, unchanged since 18, felt like a museum of what-ifs. Track trophies gathering dust. A dog-eared Whitman beside the bed. A knock. Emily, in robe and rollers, slipping in with coffee. Truce? She asked, pressing the mug into his hands. He sipped, black and bold. Always. But Dad. Last night, her face fell. I know. Confronted him at dawn. He's calling the Chicago guy today. Swore on the Bible. She sat on the bed's edge, vulnerability cracking her bridal glow. Johnny, I get it now. Hiding Hunter? It must have gutted you. I'm sorry I was blind. Tears pricked, but he blinked them back. You were surviving. We both were. She hugged him, fierce and fleeting. Walk me today? For real. Wouldn't miss it. Downstairs hummed with forced normalcy. Margaret directing traffic. Richard barking orders at the DJ. He nodded at Jonathan over coffee. Grunt of acknowledgement the closest to apology. Kane here yet. Running late. Traffic from the cousins. Richard hummed. Non-committal, but his eyes held a glint wary, watchful. Jonathan's phone buzzed. Hunter. Stuck in jam. Be there in 20. Love you. The morning blurred into ritual. Jonathan in gray suit. Tie knotted with shaking hands. Emily transforming in the master bath amid giggles and gown rustles. By noon, the ceremony tent pulsed with 150 souls. Rochester elite in pastel seersucker, whispers of last night's drama hushed under string quartet strains. Hunter arrived disheveled but dashing, tux unrumpled, sliding into the groomsmen's lineup with a wink at Jonathan across the folding chairs. Their eyes locked, a silent vow amid the murmur. We're here. We're winning. Father Michaels took the makeshift altar, Bible open like a shield. Ushers seated stragglers, Becca smirking from the front row as if privy to punchlines. Tom fidgeted at the arch, bowtie askew, until the quartet swelled, Pachelbel's canon, notes weaving through autumn air. Bridesmaids processed in lavender chiffon, then Emily on Jonathan's arm, veil a cascade of illusion netting her smile. He felt her tremble, whisper, "Steady me." "Always," he echoed, guiding her down the runner strewn with petals. Gasps rippled, his presence a quiet rebellion, but Richard, seated front left, merely clenched his jaw, Margaret patting his knee. At the altar, hand over to Tom, a clasp of hands, Emily's fingers lingering on Jonathan's. He stepped back, heart full, taking his seat beside Hunter in the family pew. Their thighs brushed, electric under decorum, a morse of solidarity. Vows commenced, Tom's voice cracking earnest. You're my North Star, guiding, glowing. Emily's reply, tear-choked, "Tom, you see me, scars and all." Rings exchanged, a unity candle flickering to life. Then rings for the best man, Hunter rising, velvet box in palm. But as he handed it over, his phone vibrated loud in his pocket, shattering the hush. He silenced it quick, cheeks flushing, but Becca's titter carried like a barb. Father Michaels cleared his throat. And now, a reading from Corinthians. "Love is patient. Love is kind." The words washed over Jonathan, balm to frayed edges, until Hunter's hand found his under the program, squeezing. But the phone buzzed again, insistent, ignored. Jonathan glanced, Hunter's face ashen, jaw grinding. "You okay?" he mouthed. Hunter nodded, but doubt seeded. The I-do's landed like grace, kiss sealed with cheers, recessional bursting into applause. Jonathan clapped till palms stung, Emily beaming radiant as she and Tom dashed the aisle, rice flying like confetti hope. The receiving line blurred, hugs from cousins, backslaps from uncles, Margaret's teary beautiful, all of it. Richard shook Jonathan's hand, brief, bone crush muttering, "Proud today, no more," but enough to sting with half measures. Cocktail hour spilled onto the lawn, highballs clinking under heaters, laughter a fragile veneer. Jonathan snagged a gin fizz, scanning for Hunter amid the swirl. Found him by the bar, staring at his phone like a death sentence. "Hunt? What is it?" Hunter passed it over. Screen glowing accusation. Email from the Chicago firm. Position filled. Reference concerns noted. CC'd Richard Hayes. Jonathan's blood iced. He lied. Said he'd call it off. Hunter's laugh was wreckage. "Yeah. And now, blacklisted in the Midwest." "Great. Guilt-clawed. Visceral. This is on me. Pulling you into the fire." "Stop." Hunter gripped his arm. "I stormlit. I chose the blaze. But right now, I need a minute." He vanished into the crowd, leaving Jonathan adrift, gin souring on his tongue. Becca materialized. Champagne flute raised mockingly. "Trouble in paradise?" Heard the firm's circling vultures. "Back off, Becca," he snapped, voice low thunder. Whatever games Dad's playing, you're not winning. Her smile sharpened. Game? Chess. Cousin. And you're the pawn. She sauntered off, hips swaying triumph, as Emily swept in, bouquet swinging. Dance with me later? Best man duty calls. Jonathan forced a grin. Wouldn't miss. But as guests filtered to dinner tables, long banquets under chandeliers strung in the tent, Hunter's seat stayed empty. Plates of herb-crusted salmon arrived, toasts commencing, Tom's dad on legacies, Emily's maid of honor on sisters by chance, friends by choice. Jonathan's turn loomed, fork pushing peas like prisoners. He texted Hunter, "Where are you? Need you here." Unread. Panic flickered when Richard rose for his speech. Microphone feedback whining brief. "Family," he boomed, scanning the crowd, ice skipping Hunter's void. "Today we celebrate Emily and Tom, a union of strength, tradition. But life's not blueprints, it's heart. To my daughter you shine. To Tom, welcome. And to those we've tested." His gaze landed on Jonathan. Waited. "May we all bend toward light." Applause polite, but Jonathan's stomach churned. Too little, too veiled. Emily's eyes questioned from the head table, but he shrugged, unease rooting deep. The dance floor opened post-dinner, band crooning Motown under twinkles. Jonathan claimed Emily for the father-daughter sway, subbing in, her head on his shoulder. "Dad's trying," she murmured. "Give him grace. Grace is earned," he replied, spinning her light. "Where's Hunter? Last saw him by the gazebo. Said he needed air." Jonathan excused himself, weaving through two-stepping relatives. Night air crisp with wood smoke from distant bonfires. The gazebo loomed shadowy, lattice cloaked in vines, and there Hunter, back to him, shoulders rigid, phone to ear. "Yeah, I get it. Nepotism's a bitch. But Richard Hayes? That's low even for Rochester." Pause. Hunter's voice cracking. "Tell Chicago I'm out. Starting over." He hung up as Jonathan approached, eyes red-rimmed. "Eavesdropping now? Needed to see if you bailed." Jonathan stepped close, hands itching for touch. "Hunt. Talk." Hunter deflated, leaning against rail. "Called an old mentor Boston firm. They want me. Interview next week." A fresh start. Joy spiked, then plummeted. "Boston? As in, away from New York? From us? Not us, you." "I need to breathe, John. This week's gutted me. Dad's betrayal, the job. It's all tangled in what your family represents. Mine shipped me off to boarding school for toughening. Yours axes futures for pride. I love you, but I can't drown in it." The words eviscerated, sharper than any ban. "So you're running? After the altar? The vows we mimicked in that motel?" Hunter's eyes shuddered. "Not running. Rebuilding. Come with me, Boston's got galleries for your art. Lofts with views." Jonathan recoiled, heart fracturing. "My life's in Brooklyn. My fight's here with Emily, with making Dad see. You said we'd face it together. Together doesn't mean chained." Hunter's voice broke, hand reaching, then falling. "Give me space. A month. See if we fit post-fire." Tears burned, unshed. "Space is just goodbye dressed nice." Hunter pulled him into a crush, lips desperate on his salt and sorrow. "I love you enough to let go if it's poison." Then he was gone, striding toward the valet, Tuck's tailcoats flapping like broken wings. Jonathan sank to the gazebo steps, world tilting, band music mocking from afar. Becca found him there, cigarette glowing ember in dark. Lovers spat? Or did Daddy's chess move checkmate? Get out, he growled, not looking up. She exhaled smoke, ringed in haze. He called it, you know. Richard bet Hunter'd crack under pressure. Said you'd thank him someday, saving you from that life. Rage propelled him up, snatching the cig, grinding it under heel. Tell Dad his game's over. And you're done playing, she laughed, backing away. Wedding's young. Plenty more moves. Jonathan stormed back to the tent, face a mask, claiming a scotch from the bar. Emily dragged him to the floor for our song. Some cheesy Springsteen from childhood, but his steps faltered, eyes scanning for Hunter's exit. No sign. By cake cutting, whispers circled. Best man's ghosted? Tom clapped his back. Oblivious. Dude, where's Hunt? Needs to smash the garter toss. Tie, Jonathan lied, throat tight. Work emergency. The lie spread. Mercy for the masses. But Emily cornered him by the photo booth. Props ask you. He's gone? For real? Jonathan nodded. Voice ash. Needed out. Can't blame him. Her arms enveloped. Fierce. You. Blame. Dad. I'll handle it. But as fireworks cracked overhead, grand finale bursts painting sky in gold. Jonathan slipped away, Tuck's jacket shed on a chair like shed skin. The drive to the motel was autopilot. Rain returned in sheets, wipers slashing tears he couldn't cry. Room 7 welcomed empty. Hunter's duffel vanished. Only a note on the pillow. Build something beautiful in Boston. Sketch me into it. H. He crumpled it, hurling at the wall, then slid down, sobs racking till dawn crept gray. Betrayal layered, families, Hunter's flight. But under it, a spark, humanity's stubborn core, refusing extinguish. Emily's call pierced the fog. Brunch, family meeting. Dad's ready to talk. Jonathan dressed in yesterday's shirt, stubble shadowing resolve. The diner on Main was Formica nostalgia, booths scarred by decades of confessions. Richard waited in a corner, coffee black, face haggard as quarry stone. Sit, he grunted, sliding a menu. Jonathan did, silence thick as grease. Emily and Margaret arrived, Tom in tow for ballast, ordering pancakes all around. Richard broke first, voice low. Kane's gone. Firm confirmed, Boston bound. I know. Jonathan's fork speared sausage. Deliberate. You're doing. Richard met his gaze, unflinching. Partly. The leak. It was to push him out. Thought it'd save you pain. Save me. Laughter bubbled. Bitter. You destroyed the one good thing. No. Richard leaned in. Eyes raw. I destroyed my chance with you. Seeing you yesterday, arm in arm with M. You looked whole. But Hunter, he enabled the hurt. Enabled love, Jonathan countered. Voice steel. You banned me. Fired him. That's not protection. It's control. Margaret interjected. Soft. Richard. Tell him. He exhaled. Deflating. Called the Boston firm this morning. Explained full truth. Withdrew the reference. Said Kane's gold. Any fool'd see it. Hope flickered. Faint. And they're reconsidering. But son. I'm sorry. For the invite. The threats. Pride's a hell of a drug. The words hung, imperfect absolution, but Emily's hand on his knee grounded. He means it, Johnny. Change starts somewhere. Jonathan searched his father's face. Crags of age. Glints of regret. Prove it. Call Hunter. Apologize. Richard nodded. Slow. Will. If you'll hear mine. The booth fell quiet, pancakes cooling, as Richard extended a hand across syrup stains. Jonathan clasped it. Calluses meeting calluses, builder to artist, father to son. Forgiven? Richard asked, voice gruff. Not yet, Jonathan said, honest. But trying. The diner emptied into a crisp afternoon, leaves skittering like escaped secrets along Main Street. Jonathan walked alone to the chapel lot, retrieving his car amid confetti remnants, shreds of programs stuck to windshields like postscripts. His phone stayed silent, Hunter's absence a hollow echo in his pocket. Back in Rochester's orbit, he wandered the Genesee River walk, sketchpad under arm, pencil flying over visions of gazebos and gone lovers. Tourists milled, oblivious, but the water's murmur spoke volumes. Let go. Let in. By dusk, resolve crystallized, he'd drive back to Brooklyn tonight, not flee, but reclaim. Galleries awaited submissions, bar shifts beckoned. Life, unpaused. Emily texted coordinates. House. Dad's on the phone with Hunt. Come. He arrived to the Victorian's porch light haloed in frost. Voices spilling from the study, Richard's rumble. Tinny replies through speaker. Jonathan hovered in the hall, eavesdropping like a prodigal. Kane. Says Hayes. Listen, a man's got regrets. I meddled. Bad. The job? My poison. Not your fault. Boston boys called back, green light. If you want it. Pause. Static crackling. Then Hunter's voice. Distant. Appreciate it, sir. But. Thinking smaller. New York's got a spot opening at a nonprofit, affordable housing designs. Fits better. Richard grunted approval. Good man. And John, you too. Square. Another beat. Working on it. He deserves better than my baggage. You both do. Richard's tone softened. Rare vulnerability. Take care of my boy. Yeah. Or I'll meddle again. Laughter Hunters. Genuine filtered through. Deal. Jonathan slipped away before the click. Heart a bruise blooming purple. Upstairs. His old room waited. Bed made military by Margaret. He packed light sketches. Tease. The crumpled note from Hunter smoothed and pocketed like talisman. Downstairs. Family clustered in the kitchen. Decaf steaming. Emily hugged him lingering. Stay till morning? Can't. Train at 6. He met Richard's eyes. Heard the call. Thanks. Richard nodded. Gruff. Earned it. The goodbye was quiet, no fanfare. Just Margaret's Tupperware thrust. Lasagna freezes. Tom's bro hug. Hit NYC sometime. Beers on me. As tires hit highway black. Rochester shrank in the rear view. A chapter dog-eared but not torn out. Brooklyn welcomed with neon pulse. His walk-up stairs creaking familiarity. Mail piled. Bills. A gallery rejection. Standard sting. And, impossibly, a manila envelope from Hunter. Postmarked Chicago. Forwarded hasty. Inside. Blueprints. Rolled tight, Hunter's hand. Inked lines of a loft conversion. Note card taped. Our haven. If you're in. H coordinates scrawled. A Bushwick address. Open house tomorrow. Sleep claimed him dreaming of arches and altitudes, waking to November's bite. The open house buzzed, realtors in blazers, millennials cooing over quartz counters. Jonathan lingered in the doorway, sketchpad idle, until Hunter emerged from the kitchen, sleeves rolled, measuring tape slung like a gunslinger. Eyes met across exposed beams, shock, then softening. John. Hunt. The name a bridge. They stepped onto the fire escape. City sprawl below like possibility. Got your note, Jonathan started. The loft, it's us. Water views. Brick you love. Hunter leaned on rail. Wind tousling. Saw it last week. Scouting. Thought. After the wedding. Maybe. After you bolted. No venom. Just truth. Hunter winced. Bolted? More like breathed. Your dad's move, it unearthed my own crap. Dad's ghost. Expectations. Needed to know I could stand without crumbling. And now, Jonathan's voice trembled, pencil tapping thigh. Now, I know I can't without you. Hunter closed the gap, hands framing face. Boston was escape. This, home. With you. Tears welled, unbidden. You hurt me, Hunt. Space felt like severance. I know. Hunter's thumbs brushed damp. Let me mend. Dates. Slow. No pressure. Jonathan searched hazel depths. Fire banked, but burning. One condition. No more hiding. From family, firms, fear. Done. Hunter's kiss sealed it. Gentle, then greedy. Fire escape rattling under shifted weight. The loft tour blurred after. Realtor oblivious to the undercurrent. They signed papers that afternoon, co-signers, co-dreamers, keys jangling like vows renewed. That night, over takeout in the empty space, mattresses air-inflated, boxes half unpacked. They talked till stars wheeled. Hunter's Boston brush-off tales. Jonathan's diner détente. Laughter laced the ache. Healing incremental. Weeks folded into rhythm. Jonathan's portraits selling at a pop-up in Dumbo. Hunter drafting for the nonprofit. Evenings tangled in the loft's raw promise. Christmas loomed. Invitation from Emily tentative. All welcome. Hunter 2. Dad's asking. Jonathan showed Hunter the text. Eyebrow arched. Your call. Hunter pondered. Then we go. As us. Rochester blanketed in snow. The haze drive a crunch of tires on fresh powder. Richard met them at the door. Shovel in mittened hands. Face ruddy. Kane. Haze. Come in, cocoa's hot. No embrace, but the nod sufficed. Inside. Tree twinkled secular. Stockings plump. Emily crushed them in hugs. Tom with eggnog sloshes. Dinner was pot roast and politics dodged. But undercurrents hummed. Becca absent. Flu, Margaret explained. Eyes sly. Richard's questions probing. Non-profit. Noble work. Hunter fielded easy. Building homes for folks like us. Overlooked. The word landed soft. Richard pausing fork midair. Then good. Gifts exchanged post-pie. Jonathan's sketch for Emily. A family portrait. All included. Colors warm. Hunter's for Richard. A model of the old chapel. Eco-retrofit plans annotated. Thought you might like preserving. Updating. Richard turned it in scarred hands. Eyes misting. Appreciate. Truly. New Year's dawned in Times Square echo. Loft party small. Friends toasting with Prosecco pops. Jonathan pulled Hunter to the fire escape at midnight. city erupting below. To Ben's, he murmured, clinking glasses. To light, Hunter replied, kiss sparking like fireworks. Spring unfurled green, conflicts composting to growth. Jonathan's first solo show, Havens, drew crowds, Hunter's pride beaming from the back row. Emily announced pregnancy over brunch. Richard's grandpa glow tentative but there. A Hayes Cane playdate someday? She teased. Hunter laughed, hand on Jonathan's knee. Count us in. But summer simmered old embers. A call from Richard. Voice strained, Kane's firm trouble. Becca stirred. Leaked old emails. Nepotism claims. Hunter's face storm-clouded over speaker. Handle it. Already did. Fired her ass. Apologies again. The laugh they shared post-hang-up was cathartic. Betrayal's scar fading faint. One August Eve. Lakeside picnic, Finger Lakes Redux. Emily and Tom in tow. Water lapped lazy. Sun dipping gold. Hunter spread blueprints anew. Their loft. Expansions penciled. Nursery wing? Not rushing, he clarified. Eyes on Jonathan. But dreaming. Jonathan's pencil sketched quick. A dockside haven. 2 figures entwined. Dream with me. Fall circled back. Wedding anniversary for M and Tom, a garden affair. Jonathan best man by proxy. Vows echoed old ones. But Richard's toast rang true. To love's crooked path. May we all walk it hand in hand. After. Hunter pulled Jonathan aside. Ring box velvet in palm. Not proposal, but promise. When you're ready. Jonathan's yes was whisper. Kiss seal. Winter wrapped them closer. Snow blanketing Brooklyn in hush. New Year's again. Loft alive with laughter. Hunter's arm around Jonathan as ball dropped. To us, he toasted. To forever, Jonathan echoed. Heart full. But life, American raw, tossed curveballs. A gallery bust for Jonathan. Funding cut at Hunter's nonprofit. They weathered huddled. Sketches and blueprints birthing side hustles. Jonathan's commissions. Hunter's freelance lofts. Emily's baby arrived spring pink. A girl named Lila Hayes Riley. Tiny fists waving like flags. Grandpa Richard cooed awkward, but held her close. Like her uncle, he murmured to Jonathan. Fighter. Summer solstice. They drove upstate, no wedding, just retreat. Dock at dusk. Hunter's head in lap. Jonathan sketching stars. Remember the first time? Hunter mused. Under the bridge. You quoted Whitman. I am large. I contain multitudes. Hunter smiled. You contain mine. Fall painted fiery. Show season for Jonathan. Multitudes. Hunter's title suggestion. Sold out. Critics praising tender American grit. Thanksgiving at the Hayes. Table groaning traditional. Turkey. Tensions thawed. Becca uninvited. Her own reckonings brewing. Richard carved. Passing Jonathan the leg. Your mother's recipe. Thanks, Dad. Post-feast walks. Hunter and Richard trailing. Talk turning timber. That chapel model? Ever think real? With you? Yeah. New Year's Eve. 3rd round. Proposal bloomed natural, fire escape. Snow dusting shoulders. Hunter on one knee. Marry me, John. Build forever. Tears froze on lashes. Yes. God. Yes. Spring wedding, small Brooklyn botanic. Cherry blossoms shedding pink. Emily maid of honor. Tom officiant ordained online. Grinning. Richard walked Jonathan. Margaret Hunter. Vows Whitman woven. I give you myself. Kiss under arches. Cheers erupting, family chosen. Blood mended. Summer honeymoon. Finger Lakes cabin. Lazy days docking dreams. Fall brought Lila's baptism. Richard godfather proud. Winter's hush. They planned. Adoption whispers. Loft nursery sketched. Life's path crooked. But lit. Love's bend. Humanity's grace. Years layered like Brooklyn brick. Hunter and Jonathan's life a palimpsest of sketches and structures, each stroke revealing deeper grain. Lila's toddling visits became weekends, her giggles echoing loft beams as she helped Daddy John color blueprints with crayons, wild primaries bleeding into Hunter's precise lines. Artistic license, Jonathan quipped, winking at Richard's bemused hover in the doorway, now a fixture sans grudge. Rochester ties strengthened tentative. Summer barbecues where Richard grilled with Hunter, trading architecture anecdotes over ribs. Your old man's got vision, Hunter confided post-meal, Richard's back turned. Buried under bluster, Jonathan nodded, watching his father chase Lila through sprinklers, laughter rusty but real. Blusters cracking. Thanks to you. Their own family bloomed slow, foster placements first. Teens with wary eyes and wardrobes of hurt. Marcus, 16, arrived hurricane silent, sketches spilling from his backpack like confessions. Jonathan mentored. Hunter built a corner studio. Easel, lights, walls soundproof for midnight rages. This is home, Hunter told him over first dinner. Vegan tacos? No pressure. Marcus stayed. Papers signed by fall. His art show junior year drawing gallery scouts, and Richard, front row, buying the catalog. Like you, Johnny, he said after, clapping shoulders. But louder colors. Emily's second, a boy named Theo, arrived amid pandemic haze. 2020's lockdowns turning loft to bunker. Video calls with Lila's pandemic finger paintings taped to fridge. Hunter's nonprofit pivoted virtual. Jonathan's portraits gone digital for virtual auctions. Proceeds to youth shelters. We're warriors, Hunter murmured one masked dawn, masks dangling like relics, as they zoomed Marcus's online graduation. Multitudes, Jonathan echoed, kissing temple. The wedding's shadow lingered longest in quiet moments. Anniversaries marked with lake drives. Hunter pausing at the dock. That day, I almost lost us. Jonathan pulled him close. Water lapping echo. You found us instead. Betrayals transmuted. Becca's exile self-imposed. Her emails sparse apologies after a Rochester reckoning. Divorce, therapy, a tentative coffee with Jonathan. Dad broke me too, she admitted over lattes, eyes downcast. But you're the glue. Forgive? He asked. No demand. Trying, she echoed his old line. Hug awkward but anchoring. Richard's health scare, heart stutter at 65, crystallized fragility. Hospital vigil. Jonathan at bedside. Hunter pacing halls with coffee runs. Fight it, Dad, Jonathan urged, hand in gnarled. We've got lifetimes left, Richard rasped. Monitors beeping. Proud, son. Of the man, the husband, the father. Margaret's vigil softer. Rosary traded for Lila's storybooks. Recovery slow. But Rochester summers now included physical therapy walks with Hunter. Your arm's like a beam, needs bracing. Smartass, Richard chuckled, but leaned on the offered elbow. Parenting Marcus layered joys and jagged, high school crushes, coming out tear-streaked at 17. Like you, Dad John, Hunter's arm around all three, loft echoing with We See You. College scouts came for art. But Marcus chose community, urban planning with a sketch minor, building beauty for the broken. Theo's arrival via surrogacy. 2023's Bloom. Filled nursery with cries and chaos. Sleepless nights tag-teamed. Hunter's lullabies off-key. Jonathan's sketches bedside talismans. 2 under 5. Hunter groaned one dawn. Theo on shoulder. Marcus raiding fridge for midnight fuel. We're doomed. Domestically blissful, Jonathan countered, kissing burp rag shoulder. Family swelled. Emily's third. A surprise. Tom's promotion to principal. Firm ties mended. Christmases rotated Brooklyn trees with drag queen ornaments. Rochester's with heirloom ornaments and eggnog toasts. To crooked paths. Richard's full thaw came gradual. A pride float wave from the sidelines. 2024's Rainbow Parade. Lila on shoulders waving flags. For you boys, he explained later, sheepish over beers with Hunter. And the kids, Jonathan, overhearing, hugged him fierce. No words, just hold. 10th anniversary. Finger Lakes cabin. Kids with M and Tom. Just them. Dock at dusk. Wine warming veins. Hunter unrolled aged blueprints. Their loft. Annotations and margins. Marcus's studio. Theo's mural wall. Us always. Still building. Jonathan teased. Pencil tracing Hunter's wrist. Forever. Hunter's ring glinted. Matching band simple platinum. Marry me again? Vows 2.0. They did impromptu. Father Michael's Zoom officiating from retirement. Emily witnessing via video. Kids crashing with cheers. I contain you, Hunter vowed. Eyes locked. Multitudes, Jonathan sealed. Kiss eternal. Ages turned. Marcus 25. Gallery darling with a boyfriend. Barista poet. Hunter's wry approval. He sees the lines. Theo 7. Class artist. Drawings of 2 dads and a grandpa pinned to fridge. Richard's passing came quiet. 87. Heart giving final stutter in sleep. Margaret beside. Funeral Rochester Chapel. Same steeple piercing gray skies. Eulogies layered. Emily's tears. Tom's steadiness. Marcus's tribute. He taught me forgiveness builds stronger. Jonathan's turn. Voice steady. Dad bent last. Toward light. We carry it. Graveside. Hunter's hand in his. Kids flanking Lila 12 now. Theo clutching sketchpad. He loved us, Hunter murmured. He did. After. Loft vigils with Margaret. Stories swapping like heirlooms. Becca returned. Steadier therapy's work. Partner in tow. Toasts to late bloomers. Life's dramatics mellowed to melody. Hunter's nonprofit expanding. Jonathan's book. Havens. An American Gay Tory. Bestseller quiet. Forward by Emily. My brother's heart. Our family's bridge. 20s for the kids. Marcus's wedding loft vows. Hunter walking him. Jonathan sketching ringside. Theo's prom. Nerves soothed with dad talks. Love's not straight lines. Grandkids sprinkled. Marcus's twins. Rambunctious. Theo's art school deferral for love abroad. Postcards vivid. Hunter and Jonathan. Silver-threaded now. Evenings on fire escape. City hum eternal. Regrets. Hunter asked one starlet. Wine shared. None. Jonathan leaned head on shoulder. You ran once to find us. Hunter chuckled. Best detour. Dusk deepened. Skyline winking approval. Their story no fairy tale, but human. Dramatic fractures mended romantic. Emotional tempests yielding humanistic calm. America's promise. Bent but unbroken, love winning, one crooked step. In the end, it was enough.